Welcome back to another episode of Making Dinner with Miggy. Tonight we're going to make some pizza. Okay, so full disclaimer before we get into the recipe, I messed up. I don't know if it was an ingredients issue or if it was a technique issue or a combination of both. I'm pretty sure it was technique, but I did not make a very good pizza. I'm hoping someone here can help me figure out where I went wrong. We're going to start with the dough. The dry ingredients for the dough, the recipe I followed has 3 ingredients. 2.5 cups of bread flour, 3 teaspoons of brown sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. In the original video I followed, he used instant yeast, but he was also using a stand mixer, which is something I don't have. So I looked up a video on how to knead dough by hand, and in the handmade dough video, he used active dry yeast, not instant yeast.
I've got 1 package of dry active yeast. Now it's important to make sure that the water is the right temperature, because if it's too cool, you won't activate the yeast, and if it's too hot, you're gonna kill it. You wanna shoot anywhere between 105 and 110 degrees. I'm at 109, so we can add the dry active yeast.
Spoiler alert, the problem with the pizza was that the dough wouldn't rise. When I was done kneading it, or I guess when I gave up on kneading it, it would not go smooth. And it wasn't really like airy and fluffy like I feel like it should have been. Right now, while the yeast is activating, I'm going to go ahead and cut my tomatoes up. Now, in my head, it could have been one of 3 things. 1, I got bad yeast. For whatever reason, I either killed it, it was too hot, too cold, it didn't work, it didn't rise. I think that's what makes the most sense to me. 2, it could have been I got organic bread flour. 3, it could have been my kneading technique.
This is blooming. You can sort of see the pearls react and start to bubble. So I'm just gonna let this sit for about 5 minutes. I'm gonna add everything into the bowl and start to bring the dough together.
The reason I think it was the yeast was because in both videos I watched, they mentioned it being like bubbly, foamy, or frothy.
Now firstly, I gotta wake up the yeast. Wakey, wakey, in the water. Give that a little bit of a stir here. 10 minutes later, that yeast is looking frothy, bubbly, foamy.
My yeast did not look like that. It looked kind of just like murky water, I guess. There was not a whole lot of bubbles or froth or foam going on. It was just kind of dingy brown water.
The yeast, of course, mix it on like the low speed. So mixing that dough, it was like 5 minutes, wasn't long.
In the video that I got the recipe from, the one that he used the stand mixer, he said it took 5 minutes and it wasn't long. That was not the case for me. Obviously, I wasn't using a stand mixer. I was going by hand. In the hand-kneaded video, he said you'll know the dough is ready when it stops being sticky. And in both videos, you can kind of see that the dough was relatively smooth and was able to be shaped into a ball. I never got to that point. I was kneading this dough for seriously like 15 minutes. I think like after looking at the final timer, it was like 17 minutes before I threw in the towel. I don't know if that's because I was kneading it wrong, or if I wasn't kneading it long enough, I got impatient and gave up. You'll see I eventually, add olive oil to it because it was not smooth. It felt dry. I ended up using a rolling pin because, I don't know, just trying different tools, I guess. But I could not get this dough to be smooth. And I don't know what I did. Like I said, it very well may be a technique issue. It could have been a yeast issue. For all I know, it could have been because I got organic bread flour instead of regular old bread flour. I really don't know. If any of you have ever made dough or bread before, please let me know how I can improve. I don't want to give up on pizza. Anyone who knows me knows pizza's my favorite thing in the world. I can eat pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I actually had a buddy of mine, Elmer. Shout out to Elmer. He said, I'm going to butcher what he says, but he said something along the lines of, Miguel, how is your stomach going to react if you don't have pizza? Because I was at that point in life where I would have a Hot Pocket for breakfast, bagel bites for lunch, and a Red Baron pizza for dinner. Like, I would literally just eat pizza all day, every day, in one shape, form, or another. So I am not done. I'm going to make pizza better. I just need a little help on how to get there. The sauce, that's handled. The cheese, that's easy. The toppings, that's easy. It's the dough I'm struggling with. You'll hear the sigh of defeat as I just give up on this dough and I get ready to put it into its little proofing container. My biggest hesitation with pizza in the past has always been like proofing the dough, because a lot of the recipes I had seen require several hours, if not days, to let the dough rest and rise. And me, I'm impatient. I don't want to prepare the ingredients on Monday for something I might eat on Wednesday. Like, that's just absurd to me. I still don't have like a format for where I want to go with this show. In some episodes, I'm talking and cooking simultaneously. In other episodes, I'm talking over my cooking footage. This one, I have a lot more silence / ASMR qualities to it, where you just hear me cutting and making noise, I guess. I don't know what direction I want this show to go in, so if you have any input on that also, that'd be greatly appreciated. I've started making the sauce here. The sauce is about 6 to 8 vine-ripe tomatoes. I think I ended up using 8 in mine. A half a teaspoon of basil. A half a teaspoon of thyme, a half a teaspoon of oregano, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon and a half of sugar, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and a half a lemon, or a half a teaspoon of citric acid. But in the video, he used a lemon, so I used a lemon. The sauce wasn't bad. I think I should have let it reduce a little bit more, because it was a little runny for my liking. I like my sauces to be a little thicker. I decided just to finish making this one just to see what it would taste like, if it was like good. I tried to give the dough one final knead because it looked somewhat promising after its proofing session. It looked a little smoother than when I originally put it in. That turned out to be like all for naught though, because as you can see, it just, I don't know what it is. It just didn't work. Didn't come out right. By this point in the night, I had pretty much given up on pizza for dinner. I knew this wasn't gonna be what I had hoped for, and my sisters were here with me, and I promised them pizza for dinner. Caitlin probably doesn't really care, but Abby is like looking forward to pizza, like I was. So I ended up ordering Papa John's. Since the original video that I was emulating was how to make Papa John's pizza at home, I decided to do an A and B comparison to see how they stacked up against one another. My sister's reaction, as you'll see coming up here, is that she said it could use more cheese. Is one complaint or one criticism, which is something that's on me. I don't like cheese on my pizza. I don't really I think I'm like lactose intolerant, but I'm not sure. Like I've never been diagnosed, but cheese always messes with my stomach. And so I always, like, whenever I'm ordering pizza from a restaurant, I get light cheese and extra sauce. That's just the way I prefer to eat my pizza. And the other thing that she said was that she liked the sauce.
It needs more cheese.
Yeah, okay. It's too hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yum.
This is hard.
It's hard.
I feel like it's like weird.
It tastes bland.
The sauce is good.
Mommy really learned though.
Nah. Try that one. Try that one.
I like the sauce.
For attempt number 2, I might
Yeah, I
end
made
up
the
doing
sauce,
one of
but-
those
The sauce
longer
part is good.
dough prep recipes and see how that goes.
You know Abby's gonna like it either way.
Good or no?
Okay.
You like it?
Yeah.
So the pizza was a flop. I still had that other half of the dough in my fridge staring at me for, I think it was 2 or 3 days before I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to even throw this away or try to make something out of it. I eventually just made breadsticks with it. As breadsticks, it was okay. I don't know why. Maybe because it sat in the fridge for 2 days. Maybe because they're thicker than, a thin pizza. I don't know. But the breadsticks turned out all right, I guess. I didn't even end up filming it because I didn't know if it was going to be good enough to warrant dragging the cameras into the kitchen and all that. So I just took some pictures. These aren't even cooked. This is just shaped, I guess. I'm looking forward to trying again. I just need some input first as to what I should do different.